Today's lesson is on angles. First, you need to know the general form of an angle. The initial side is fixed and the terminal side rotates. So if you're looking at this angle right here, the initial side starts and then it opens, so it's rotating. Terminal means end. If you know someone who's terminally ill, they're usually at the end of their life. Really sad, but that's what terminal means. An angle is in standard position if its vertex is at the origin and the initial side is on the positive x-axis. So that's when an angle is in standard position. If the terminal side rotates counterclockwise, then the angle is positive, and if the terminal side rotates clockwise, then the angle is negative. It's a little bit backwards than what you would think. Counterclockwise is positive, clockwise is negative. Quadrantal angles. This is when you have the four quadrants. You know your four quadrants. This is the first one, and you have the second one, and the third one, and the fourth one. Okay, so quadrantal angles. Obviously, if you're drawing an angle starting at 0 degrees, because this is my starting point, and I go here, then obviously that's a right angle. I've gone 90 degrees. Then I go 90 more degrees. So I've gone 180 degrees now. Then I go 90 more degrees. Now I've gone 270. And 90 more degrees is 360. Please make sure that you have those quadrantal angles in your notes, and you do need to memorize them. Same goes over here. This one is quadrantal angles in radians, and we'll talk about radians more in a minute. But you should know this. We start at 0 radians, and we go to pi over 2, and then we go pi over 2 more radians, which is pi, and we go pi over 2 more radians, which is 3 pi over 2, and then pi over 2 more radians, which is 2 pi. We'll talk more about radians, but you do need to know those quadrantal angles in radians as well as degrees, so write them both down. Now we're graphing 150 degrees, so I want you to graph it. First, I know that my initial side is going to go on the x-axis because I am making a standard angle. So I'm graphing 150 degrees. So I start at 0 degrees and then 150 degrees. So I go up 90 degrees. Am I done? No. I still have some more degrees to go. So I go down to 180 degrees. Did I go too far? Yes. It is right about here. It's 30 degrees away from 180. So it's about right there. Obviously, we're not using a protractor. We're not getting super, technical. We are just estimating. Now I'm going to do graph negative 290. I think it'd be easier to see if it was a different color. All right. All right, so this one's negative. Remember, negative goes clockwise. So this time I'm going this way. So I'm going 290 degrees. This is negative 90 degrees. I still have more to go. This is negative 180 degrees. I still have more to go. Negative 270 degrees. I have 20 more degrees to go, which is about that much. Obviously, you're estimating. So, one thing that I forgot to do on the other problem, you need to go like this. That tells me that you went clockwise, and then over here you need to go like this. And that tells me that you went counterclockwise. So that way I know what angle you did. All right, angles can also be measured in radians. 1 rotation around equals 2 pi. So 360 degrees equals 2 pi. 2 pi radians. Radians, you don't write radians, there's no symbol, it's just assumed. To convert degrees to radians, you multiply by pi over 180. So if you have degrees and you're going 2 radians, you multiply by pi over 180. To convert degrees to radians, sorry, I didn't mean to say that. Let me rethink this. Okay, my mistake has been corrected. To convert degrees to radians, you multiply by pi over 180. And to convert radians to degrees, you multiply by 180 over pi. That is something you need to memorize. So if I'm converting, let's do 765. If I'm converting 765 degrees to radians, you do 760 times pi over 180. When you multiply across fractions, you do 760 times pi, and then you have 180 on the bottom. Now, we need to reduce that fraction, and we are going to ignore the pi, because we're going to put the pi in the answer. So do not type pi in the calculator. We're going to say 760 divided by 180. And then you need to turn it into a fraction. You get 38 over 9, and don't forget the pi. So 38 pi over 9. Okay, so that's going from degrees to radians. To go from radians to degrees, find the degree measure of 3 pi over 4. I'm going to say 3 pi over 4 times 180 over pi. Well, you have pi in the top and the bottom, so the pi's cancel out. And then you have 3/4 times 180. So 3/4 times 180. And that gives you 135 degrees. It's as simple as that. Okay, two angles are coterminal if their sides coincide. So I'm going to graph 150 degrees, and then I'm going to graph 510 degrees. So first 150 degrees. Go out 9 degrees, and then 30 degrees away from 180. Okay, now I'm going to graph sorry, the color's messed up. I want a different color. Okay, so now I'm going to graph 510 degrees. Here's my first piece and my second piece. All right, 510 degrees. So one full rotation around is 360 degrees. So one full rotation around, 360. And then I have some more to go. 360 plus 90 is what? Is 450. So I'm at 450 degrees, and I still have more to go. So that was 450. Now what's that plus 90? That's 540, so that's too much. So 510 minus 450, whoops. Don't you love it when things don't work? There we go, and you're here. You're 30 degrees away from there. Do you see how they're coterminal? They end at the same spot, and I'll do another one of these in class. They end at the same spot, which means they're coterminal. To find coterminal angles in degrees, add or subtract by multiples of 360. So if I tell you to find coterminal angles and you're dealing with degrees, you're going to add or subtract by multiples of 360. And to find coterminal angles in radians, you're going to add or subtract by multiples of 2 pi. Now, when you write that, please do not write 2 pi. Please write the pi symbol. I can't type the pi symbol easily, and that's why I wrote the word pi. I need you to write the symbol. Okay, use the following directions for the next two examples. I'm going to do the one in radians. I'll do the ones in degrees in class. Find two positive and two negative angles that are coterminal with the given angle. So I have negative pi over 4. And I said you need to add and subtract by multiples of 2 pi. So first I'm going to add 2 pi. So I go on my calculator, and remember when you type these in your calculator, you ignore the pi symbols. So negative 1/4 plus 2 is going to be 7 pi over 4. And then I'm going to do it again, only I'm adding a different multiple of 2 pi. I'm going to add 4 pi. 4 pi, 6 pi, 8 pi, 10 pi, all of those are multiples of 2 pi. You notice how they're even numbers? All right, so negative 1/4 plus 4, and you get 15 pi over 4. Okay, then you need to subtract by multiples of 2 pi. So minus 2 pi, and you do this in your calculator, and remember you ignore the pi symbols in there. So negative 1/4 minus 2, and that gives you negative 9 pi over 4, and then negative pi over 4 minus 4 pi. And that gives you negative 17 pi over 4. Now this is how you do it. This is how you do it when you have radians. If I was doing this example over here, that says 300 degrees, then you would add 360 and then add 720 and then subtract 360 and subtract 720. All right, the measures of two angles in standard position are given. Determine whether the angles are coterminal. So the way I do this is I'm going to subtract the bigger angle, so this one, by degrees of multiples of 360. So 430, sorry, I'm writing with my left hand. My microphone won't reach. So 430 minus 360 is it's equal to 70 degrees, so they are coterminal. So the answer is yes, coterminal. Now this one over here, I'm going to take the bigger one. So 32 divided by 3 and 11 divided by 3. So the bigger one is 32 over 3, and I'm going to subtract that by 2 pi. So 32 pi over 3 minus 2 pi. And remember, you don't put the pi in the calculator. So 32 over 3 minus 2. And that's 26 pi over 3. Still not quite there yet. So minus 2 again. And that's 20 over 3. And I'm going to subtract 2 again. That's 14 over 3. I'm subtracting 2 again. And that's 8 over 3. Did I ever get to 11 over 3? No, I did not. Because I never got 11 pi over 3 when I was subtracting by 2 pi. They are not coterminal. All right, so find an angle between 0 and 360 that is coterminal with a given angle. I'm going to do the negative 100 degrees first. What you need to do, it's negative 100 degrees, so I'm going to add 360. And you get 260. If you were doing this one over here, it's bigger than 360, so I would subtract 360 until I got between 0 and 360. And find an angle between 0 and 2 pi that is coterminal with a given angle. Here, 12 over 5. Let's see if that's bigger than, let's see where that is. That's 2.4. It's bigger than 2 pi, so you're going to subtract 2. And you get 2 over 5, but don't forget the pi symbol. Thank you very much.